Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome in once again. It's my great pleasure to come out here and discuss one of my personal favorite carry guns with you, and that is the Oracle Arms 2311, a pistol that I feel that not a lot of owners have really talked about a lot on YouTube. Just a lot of reviewers that get T&E samples and have an opportunity to fire them for a few days and then come back and let you know. Just want to start off by showing all clear so that nobody is worried that they're in danger or that anyone here at home is in danger. Nobody is. The reason why I wanted to make this video is because I feel this is a very, very special gun, and we're going to talk about that in great detail when we get to the tabletop review portion and let you know what some of your options are. Number one, a lot of people that have been watching the videos about this pistol have been wondering, where can I get a holster that fits it? So I will discuss the holster that I have here from Tier 1 Concealed. And you're probably wondering, is it worth the money? Now, when I bought mine, it was about $18.99, and it's a little bit less now. All right, let's get to the tabletop and talk about what makes this pistol unique in a sea of 2011 style pistols that have been coming out in the past couple of years. Okay, so I guess the smartest thing to do is start off with how this is packaged. They give you a really, really high-end savior case that's just fantastic quality. It really gives you a good sense of the quality of the firearm inside. Now, it's secured with this kind of Velcro wraparound holster thingamabob, which if you adjust it right, even when you have your light on there, you can fit it back in for your YouTube videos. And inside here is going to be your instruction booklet and all that kind of good stuff. And the fun stuff is going to be in the front zippered area, and that's going to be your additional magazines. Now, I've already swapped mine out for the 17 rounders, and I'll explain why in just a couple of seconds. The quality of the bag is just fantastic. Super, super nice stuff. I have one of their range bags, and I couldn't be happier with the quality of that. Okay, so going down some of the basic points of this, it takes the Oracle Arms magazines. Obviously, those are what ship with the pistol, but you're also able to use Sig P320 magazines, and you'll notice that you have a Sig P320 mag release right here that is reversible. And some of the big important things about this thing are going to be the fact that it is a fully ambidextrous firearm, so your thumb safeties are ambi. Your mag release, as I mentioned, is swappable, and for the first time ever on a 1911, you have an ambidextrous slide release. That has never happened before. Now, it is going to make it a little bit different when you go to take it apart, and if you're kind of a little baby about how dirty your hands get, you're probably not going to like it very much, because you're going to have to reach inside of here and push the back side of this slide release from the inside. You're going to get your little precious fingers dirty, but I think you'll live. So the top end is a Series 70 1911. Well, not 100% because you have a linkless barrel. You don't have that little barrel link that you have to line up with this hole to drop the slide release back into. It's actually a barrel system that's set up like a CZ75 or like what you have in your Shadow 2. And from here down is where the Sig components would be, your Sig mag release and your Sig magazines if you choose to use Sig magazines. And again, you don't have to, but it is a great option for you to have your additional magazines. They run flawlessly. They're not very expensive. They're very easy to get your hands on, so it was a smart idea. The Compact ships with 3 of the OA Defense made magazines that are a 15 round capacity. Because remember, again, this is the Compact. So the full size would get the 17 round magazines. Or you could opt, as I did, for the Plus kit. Now, I got the Plus kit a while after I got the pistol, so I had to install it myself. And I will say this will be something that you're only going to want to have to do once. It is extraordinarily frustrating to make the change. So while they may advertise that, yes, you can swap out and change your grip length by just changing out the magwell, it's not as easy as just unscrewing it, popping it off, and screwing the new one on. There's this little T-key system in there, and if you have it too tight, these two pieces don't line up. If you have it too loose, they won't line up, and it's just kind of a pain in the butt. So yes, now of course I get to use the 17 round magazines, which makes me happy, but it wasn't about the capacity for me. For me, it was about how my hands fit. I have pretty large hands and meaty hands, so I felt very, very cramped with the smaller, more minuscule magwell on there. So I'm thinking that this is going to give me not only a nicer feel as I'm gripping onto it, but I think it's going to give me a little bit more stability and a little bit more control when I'm shooting. Because I know that my favorite Glock experience, my favorite Glock that I've ever owned, and I've had a lot, and I put a lot of money into various different ones, my favorite was the 19X, because you had the short slide, but you had that full-length 17-round grip. And as soon as you put your hands around it and began shooting, you realized the additional stability, how it changed how the gun fired. It was fantastic. Absolutely loved shooting that gun. So basically, I have an X configuration. I have the 4¼ inch barrel, the commander size, top end. Now I have the full size grip. And I couldn't be happier. I think it feels really, really good. But now things have changed. You can actually order a compact in what they call the Compact Plus Kit. So you can either order your compact and then decide later on, hey, I don't need $200. I'm going to order a Plus Kit and get the magwell and get the 3 magazines like I did. Or you can go ahead and purchase the compact with Plus Kit all in one, and they will have already installed the larger magwell, and you'll receive 3 of the 17-round magazines. I don't even think you get 15-round magazines when you get that particular variation. That's how that worked out. So now I've got that faster cycling top end and better grip and more stability on the grip side. So I think that's probably the best way to configure these things. Now, of course, after getting this, they released the Pro versions, Pro version of the full size and the Compact Pro. Had the Compact Pro been available, the Compact Pro is what I would have chosen, hands down. And at this point, while this is available and the Compact Pro is available, if you're buying the regular Compact, you're insane. Get the Pro. The Pro, number one, visually looks nicer. You've got a nice two-tone. You're going to have a gray grip frame module, and everything else will be black. And then you're going to have a major lightning cut in the top side of the slide. You're going to have more lightning cuts on the side, which will also allow you to get the optional ported barrel. Now, I don't know about you guys. I love ported barrels. I love ports. I love comps. Most of my handguns are ported or comped. I love it. I think it's great. Force multiplier. Anything you could do to help give you a little bit more stability, the better. And yeah, it didn't exist when I got this, or else I would have made that choice very quickly and very easily. It's also got carry bevels, so everything is a little bit more rounded. And not that this has anything really particularly, the angles aren't particularly sharp on this where it's a pain to carry. What's a pain to carry are all the edges of the optic I put on there. And then, of course, your thumb safety. But I think they may actually have a more rounded off thumb safety as well on that Pro model. The other big deal about this are the optics plates that come with the pistol. You'll notice that it's got a rear sight built in, and it's at the front of the optic. Now on mine it does me no good because I opted to put my Steiner MPS on there because I like the big blocky look on this big chunky pistol. Had I put a normal type of optic on there, then I could have probably been able to lower third co-witness without too much of a problem, because that's why they give you this. But this required an additional adapter plate to be able to attach the Acro P2 style mounting onto the RMR plate that they give you. You're going to get 4 plates in the pistol case, and all of the major optics are covered, except, as you see, for the Acros and MPS, the mailbox style enclosed emitters. I think overall, that's the best way to do it, man. It's 2024. If you're going to offer a pistol, it needs to be optics ready. And if it's going to be optic ready, it damn well better come with the plates. Don't have me mail in to get a free plate. Looking at you, Walter. It's just ridiculous. Sure, it's great because it's free and you don't have to really, mess with anything. And they do ship it really quick. But generally, I'm going to want to put my optic on right away, not wait a week to get the optic in the mail. The other big selling point for this that you don't hear a lot of reviewers talking about, but they did talk about it a lot at the Oracle Arms booth during SHOT Shows, so anytime somebody went over there, they talked about it, is the fact that you've got this unbelievably tight, wonderfully mated slide-to-frame fit. And when that happens, you're generally going to sacrifice some reliability, right? Because anything that gets in there, when the tolerances are that tight, there's no room for anything. You get a couple little things of sand in there, a little bit of dirt, and it can either slow down the slide to where it won't operate properly, or it'll lock it up entirely and stop it from working, period. What Oracle Arms has done is they have built channels in key areas around the barrel and around the rail assemblies that are supposed to be kind of self-cleaning, where they will drive bits and particles out of the channels so that they're not sitting here and binding up the works. Does it work? I don't know. I hope it's effective. I hope it's more than just marketing hype. I mean, you can see them when you take the gun apart. They are there, but I couldn't tell you how effective they are. I haven't had any operational issues that would lead me back to, oh, my gun needed to be cleaned better. But I'm also not abusing this and, throwing it out in the dirt or anything, because this is it's a carry gun. It's something that I may have to rely upon at some point. So I'm not going to just for the sake of the video, go do crazy stuff with it. I know it seems like sometimes we never ever get to see new offerings in the 1911, 2011 space. No new guns, no new accessories. leaving us with no choice except to carry old, heavy, slab-sided Colt Series 80 nickel-plated 45s. So it's nice to see a breath of fresh air. Yes, of course, there is in actuality an enormous number of pistols releasing every year, and even more accessories and customizers that are out there that you can keep count of. But this one's different. This one's special. Again, with it being a hybrid between a 1911, a CZ, and a Sig, makes it completely unique. Now, it can't be called a 2011 because Staccato owns that name, but it's the same idea. The three major components: the slide, the frame, and the grip module. So instead of just having the slide mating to a one-piece frame, it's broken up in that degree, obviously. Staccato owns the 2011 name. They came up with it. They registered it. They own that name, so they can't use that. And by making it a hybrid and adding the compatibility to the Sig P320s, they went with the 2311 moniker. I think it's kind of cool. What I love about it is it's so friggin' Blade Runner, man. It's so futuristic looking. And it gives you that feeling of it's a modern combat weapon like a Glock or so many other really, really great striker-fired combat pistols that are out there. But you've got that familiarity of the 1911, 2011, and that unbelievable, incredible single action trigger. And I can't stress to you nearly enough how crisp this trigger really is. And we'll do it very, very slowly so you see that I'm not just slapping the trigger and pushing through the creep. No detectable creep, none whatsoever, and no over travel. It is adjusted perfectly out of the box. Now, you've got about a 4-pound trigger brake, so it's not a competition level trigger, obviously. You're putting enough pressure on that you could be moving the dot a little bit if you were trying to shoot competition. So it may not be the perfect competition gun out of the box, but again, it's a Series 70 1911. Any gunsmith that's ever worked on 1911s could fine-tune that trigger and reduce the weight and make it, perfect for what you need it for. For me, for carry, that's perfect. It's great. It gives me just enough where I don't feel like it's a hair trigger that's going to be too scary to have in a real-life situation. All the way around, I think that they've done a fantastic job, but what I do want to mention that I feel is every bit as important as making a good quality gun is the amazing customer service. And shout out to Ian in their service department, because I had a couple of small issues that really didn't have anything to do with the gun. It had to do with me. When I first went to switch out my magwell, there is on the compact magwell, there is one screw in the center, which is a little T6 Torx threaded screw. And I somehow managed to strip the damn thing as I was taking it apart. And they were just awesome with me, kind of holding my hand through the whole process, because I had gotten it off initially. I'd gotten the screw out, no problem. And I couldn't figure out how the magwell came off. I'm pulling at it, I'm prying at it, I'm trying to push it off forward, push it off rearward with the screw out of it, and I could not figure out what I was doing wrong. So I sent them an email and said, hey, I'm a moron, please help me out here, what am I doing wrong? And they said, oh yeah, it's a little bit tricky because everything on this gun is tricky. Everything is built to such a ridiculous degree of refinement and fit their gunsmiths have to go absolutely insane when they were developing this thing. So they're like, yeah, when you get the screw out, you're actually going to take your thumbs on the back right here. And they were cool. They actually sent me a picture to illustrate it. And you're going to push upwards at this angle. So the front of it's going to stay where it is, and you're just pivoting it up this way. Because there is a little, and you can't really see it in this one, even though it's there. There's a little friction plate that's wedged up against the rear of the internal magwell. and you just have to kind of push that loose, and then that comes off. Okay, super easy. And I had gotten frustrated after I emailed him. I put it all back together, and when I did, I over-tightened it, and I stripped that screw. So when they got back to me and said, yep, here's how you do it, I was like, oh, cool, sweet. Now I know how to do it, but I can't because I stripped out the screw. And immediately they went, you know what, let's just get you a couple of new screws, no worries. And dude, they FedEx overnighted the screws to me. They ate whatever that cost was, 30, 40 bucks probably, to send me 2 little screws to make sure that I had no issues. I mean, how awesome is that? So great guys over there. I just want to make sure I gave them the shout out because to me, customer service is one of the most important things when you're considering buying from a company. We've all had products that we bought from companies that had really terrible customer service after the fact, and it left a really nasty taste in our mouth. And really the only experience I ever had as far as guns went was I paid a lot of money for an Ed Brown, and I don't have to go down that rabbit hole. You can very easily Google search Ed Brown customer service and realize why a lot of people won't buy an Ed Brown 1911 anymore, even though, in my opinion, they're still among the best that you can buy in their ranges. But yeah, nobody wants to deal with him after the fact. So, is it worth your money? I mean, because these, again, in a 1911 or a 2011, in that 2011 space, the price is very, very low compared to almost any other high quality one out there. And if you compare this to a Staccato P, or probably a Staccato C2 because of the overall size, you're saving $500-600. So in that space, this is a low-priced alternative. But for regular normal people that are buying regular normal everyday guns, let's say you've only ever bought M&Ps or P320s or Glocks your whole life, and you're used to spending $500-600-700 on a pistol, and you see this for basically just a tick under $2,000, you've got to think twice about it. You've got to be like, man, I could buy like, I don't know, 8 Canics for the price of this one gun that nobody knows anything about. It's a new company, it's a new brand, it's a new gun. Do I really want to do that? Do I want to make that leap into 2011s? Is it that important to me? Or can I just get by with the old Glock trigger and save a hell of a lot of money, put that money toward training or toward ammo? So a decision only that you can make. But they do make it a bit easier. Because as I said when I did the review on my Platypus, I really, really, really like Staccato. I liked the one Staccato that I owned. It was a great gun, but it didn't wow me. It didn't make me go, wow, this is, I don't know how I ever lived without it. And when you take into account the money that you spent to get it, again, you're kind of like, eh. And also, to be fair, when I had gotten my Staccato, at the exact same time, at the same trip to the store, I had purchased a CZ Tactical Sport Orange. So they're right around the same price, $2,000 to $2,500. And honestly, the CZ was tremendously better in every respect. So, yeah, I didn't hold on to it for very long. It just wasn't, But I tell you, from the very second I opened this up, it felt special. And when I felt how smooth and slick this was for so much less money, I couldn't believe it. When I felt that slide to frame fit, and I tried to give it a good jiggle, I went, wow, I can't believe what you're getting for the money. And for me, the only real criticism is I wish that the driver's side thumb safety was wider. You get a wide blade safety if you're buying the full size. You don't get the wide version on the compact. And it didn't need to be ambidextrous, in my opinion, because if you're getting into the compact, there's a possibility, if you can carry it off, that you're going to carry it. And I've never been one to have a safety on the, what I call the passenger side, when I'm carrying, because it's too easy to, I don't know, lean over a table or something and accidentally turn it off and not realize it. Now, this does not have a grip safety like most 1911s or 2011s. So your only actual safety is this manual thumb safety. So if that was swept off and you didn't realize it, anything could happen. Yes, you're not supposed to ever have your finger on the trigger. No, of course not. But shit can happen, right? That's why we have redundant safeties. That's why we have drop safeties. That's why we have all these things. So for me to feel better about it, I would rather not have this. So I'm going to be switching this out and getting the high ride thumb safeties that Atlas makes, because it's much wider. It also changes the angle. You're sitting up higher and further away, and it takes less movement to sweep it off. So yeah, that's kind of my deal. As far as putting the MPS on here, I love the MPS. The only problem with the MPS is its horrific battery life. It is just god awful. Well, I got that to bloom really easy, didn't I? But the glass is among the purest, cleanest glass I've ever seen on any optic at any price range. And these are not that much less than an Acro. You're still going to spend $550 on one of these. I was fortunate, didn't have to pay anywhere near that, but those deals don't come along very often. But the dot is crystal clear with my astigmatism, which makes me happy. The window size is pretty good. It's not quite as claustrophobic as the Acro P2. And Steiner is legendary for the quality, the optical purity of their glass. So you get exactly what you want out of it. Now that I have the capacity for 17 rounds, I think I'm going to be much, much happier. It's less to load at the range. It's more capacity to carry with you, especially if you're carrying your additional mags. All the way around, I think this was going to be the perfect setup from the beginning. I'm so glad to have this. I'm so glad to have it pieced together the way that I do with the larger mag well. I almost forgot how cramped my poor fingers felt with the old Magwell. I'm very, very excited to take this back out and shoot it. The experience I had when I was shooting it was that it's extraordinarily accurate. It's more accurate than I'm ever going to be. Certainly will hold its own with guns that are much, much more expensive, with very, very exotic names. And once it broke in, the reliability has been fantastic. So if you've had your eye on one of these and you're trying to decide, should I do this or the staccato? What I would tell you is do both, because you're doing yourself a disservice by not owning a staccato, because they are that good. But the trigger is better on this, because on almost any staccato you pick up, there's going to be a little tinge of detectable creep. I think this is the better value proposition. It's a little bit snappier because it's a lighter weight gun than most of the staccatos that you're going to pick up. If you're comparing this to a staccato P is going to have a little bit more weight. It's going to feel a little bit less snappy. Now, this is not uncontrollable in any way because, well, hey, it's 9mm, but plus you've also got on both sides the thumb ledges. So you can actually hold into that and let it push up against your thumb, and you've got a little bit more control over that muzzle flip. I'm actually sending mine out to Monsoon Tactical. We're going to be doing the Lucky 7s porting, and then they're going to stipple and customize the grip module, and then we're going to do a cool futuristic Cerakote theme to it that I think is going to look pretty darn good. I'm excited about that. And does it need to be ported? No, but I like having the option available to me. And that's really about it. I think overall, fantastic value. I wouldn't tell you to get this over a staccato, but I'd say it's right there in the running. And if you're one paycheck away, like you've got to save just one more paycheck to get that staccato and you're tired of waiting, pick this up. You'll never regret having it. And the other cool thing is, look at how different this is going to be. You may end up with a few staccatos over your lifetime. You may end up with an LVA. You might end up with a Prodigy. You might end up with a whole bunch of, all black 2011s. And they're all going to kind of look the same. And this one is always going to be unique and different. And it's going to feel that way when it shoots as well. And that's also important. So before I continue rambling on forever, I'm just going to close it out, leave it at that. And those are my thoughts on the Oracle Arms, or now OA Defense 2311.